Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Soap the Great. Welcome to another episode of Jungle Island Adventures. How's everyone doing? I hope you're doing alright, I certainly am. Now today, we are going to be going on an adventure. We're not going to be building anything. We are going to head out and about, but before we get into that, let me just show you a couple of things around here. The first thing is I've gone ahead and mapped out the island here. You see that it is in fact an island and it's entirely covered by jungle. There's a little bit of swamp area over here and over here, and then this is a swamp as well right here, but for the most part it is jungle. We've got some nice features here, a bunch of lakes. There's a little lava lake right there. And this thing, I've actually gone and visited this, but it is in the middle of what looks to be like a mountain, so it's a little mountain lake. And then this sand covered one here. And then there's a ravine, which I've not gone down into. And then a little beach alcove, which I've got plans for that in the future, but not right now. Today we've got an adventure, and we've got something else to take care of. Now, you know, I have been asking for suggestions for names for this tower base that I'm building. Again, this is a temporary hidey hole, and it's a little bit bigger than a hidey hole. It did start out rather small, but I've just slowly expanded as I've needed a little bit more space. But this is temporary. We are going to be moving into the tower sometime in the future, you know, once we get the sorting system really locked down. But until then, I'm taking names. So if you have a suggestion for a name, it is a large imposing tower just rising above the jungle island landscape. You can see its footprint roughly right there. You can see the iron and gold farms kind of jutting out on the side, but it is rather imposing. It goes up to build limit, and eventually we're going to be digging down to bedrock. So bedrock to build limit, that's going to be our base, and that's where most of the builds are going to be. So I'm not going to try and knock down all the trees from this island. Just try and keep my footprint on the surface to a minimum. But I've had 2 entries for names, both coming from the same person, and this is a coworker who also happens to play on the multiplayer server that I share with my coworkers. So this is by As10, and he suggested the Tower of Power. With it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's a little homage to Paul Soares Jr. and his Survive and Thrive series, which we both owe a large debt of gratitude to helping us get ready for Minecraft. We learned a lot about it through his series, and he calls his nether portal and brewing area the Tower of Power, and we've got one on our multiplayer server which contains our nether portal and enchanting setup, and we call ours the Tower of Power as well, but As10 suggested it, so I'm putting it up here on the wall of names. He also suggested the Spire, which is a pretty fitting name. But hey, if you want to get your name here, a little shout out, possibly even a channel shout out if you have a YouTube channel and you've got an idea for a name, whatever. I will take all suggestions that are clean and in good fun, not you know, nothing PG-13 rated or higher. I want to keep this family friendly. So if you've got a suggestion, feel free to leave it in the comments below or catch me on Twitter at MCSoapTheGreat, and I will put a sign up here, and if we need more space I can always dig out that way, but here we go. This is the Hall of Names. Okay, so let's see, we've got the map. Another thing that I've done is I have found that I needed some more space for smelting, and so I've expanded the auto smelter a little bit. It is not necessarily one of those highly efficient ones, but it does the trick. So when the furnaces fill up and these hoppers fill up, then these chests start filling in. So So yeah, there we go. We've got plenty of blaze rods. That's our main XP farm now. You saw that in the last episode. But yeah, there we go. So not much in that regard. I'm trying to do a lot of this stuff on camera with you, but that's enough chatting. Let me tell you what we're going to do today. You know, I built that mob farm to get, what are they? Ender pearls. And now I've got blaze rods aplenty. Blaze rods turn into blaze powder. Blaze powder mixes with ender pearls to make eyes of ender. And those are useful for finding the stronghold and filling in the end portals. Let me take a sleep real quick and we'll go out. And I'll just point to a few directions. And I'll let you know what we're going to be doing. Now, you may know, you may not know, I'm not sure, but I will tell you just in case. There are 3 strongholds per Minecraft world. Okay, I've already looked up their positions on this world in a mist. Now, I did not write down the coordinates because I'm going to try and find these the old-fashioned way, but I know there's one in that direction, I know there's one that direction, and I know there's one that direction. My hope is that we end up going that direction because I've already generated a lot of territory that way. There's a dark oak forest over there that I've been to get dark oak saplings. You can see the result right there. So I'm hoping that it goes that way, but we'll see when the time comes. But I need to get ready because we are going to... I've been doing some work in the blaze farm and the zombie farm, just collecting materials for this thing. And you know, I'm not going to do like I did on the multiplayer server of just carting stuff back and forth. That it ended up being that we didn't need most of it. We lost most of it before the battle, so I'm just going to plan on taking a few extra outfits and then some potions and a couple extra of the bows that I've gotten from fishing. But we're just going to go find it, find the stronghold, fill in the portal, and go in and fight the Ender Dragon. So we're going to do that all in one episode. And depending on how long it takes, I may end up doing a time lapse. So we'll see once the time comes. And if I end up doing a time lapse, I will dub over and probably mix in some music as well. So get ready. I'm going to just take a little jump cut, prep, and then when we come back, we'll be heading towards the stronghold that the Eyes of Ender point us towards. So I will see you in just a moment. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, you can probably tell by the speed of the video behind this talking that this is not the real-time gameplay, and you'd be correct in your assumption. This is a post-gameplay narration. That's what I'm doing. And I'll get into the reasons why. But let's talk about what's going on here in the video real quick. Now, as I said, my hope had been for the Ender Pearls or Eyes of Ender to go in one particular direction, and sure enough, they did end up going in that direction. The stronghold close to the roof forest was, in fact, the closest one, so that's where we ended up going. And the reason I wanted that to be that one is because I had generated most of these chunks already, so there's not new terrain, or very little new terrain. There was some. I had mostly generated the roofed forest, which is to the south of this stronghold, and that was so I could get dark oak saplings in the case that I would use the dark oak sapling trick to punch the hole in the roof of the nether, but I ended up using the TNT and the flame arrow glitch. So anyway, we're close here. It's the it's an extreme hills area that the stronghold is under. It's buried, well, probably around level 20, between level 10 and level 20. You can see the Eyes of Ender there, and what I'm doing now is I'm going to be digging down, doing that little trick where you just go in a 2 wide hole and stand on the middle and go down. So I ended up digging down pretty far, and it was not fruitful. It did not put me where I needed to be, so I had to come back up a little bit and just knock those Eyes of Ender a little bit more and dig towards where they were headed, and I eventually got there. But let's talk about why I'm doing this post-gameplay narration. when the whole thing was said and done, see, I already know the outcome, and you probably have a guess as to what the outcome is, but I won't spoil it for you. But by the time it was all said and done, the total footage was somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour, maybe a little over an hour, and I was not wanting to subject you to an hour's worth of content, whether it was good or not. I just didn't. Your time is precious, and I know for the most part you want to keep these to 20 to 30 minutes, and so over an hour is not good. But let me get back to that real quick and tell you what's going on here. So I ended up getting to the Stronghold, and the lag got pretty bad. I think it was generating new chunks. We had gone to the edge, and lag was pretty bad. So I just went through the Stronghold. I cut down the resolution temporarily, and then came back to the recording resolution and got to the end portal room. I did knock out the silverfish spawner because if you know this already, you can just ignore me. But if you did not know already, there are 3 strongholds per map, and this is just one of them. So there are 2 other silverfish spawners around on the map. I can always go to them again if I get a desire to mess with silverfish. So I just knocked that out. Here we are. I'm getting prepped. Kind of putting out all the stuff, making a little base here. You can see I've put a bunch of stuff in that chest. You'll note that all the arrows are in that chest, okay? But anyway, back to why I'm doing this. The second reason is that, like I said, I wouldn't want to subject you to an hour's worth of good content, much less an hour's worth of boring content. And when all was said and done, I had deemed the whole thing to be absolutely boring. Something about myself, I've discovered that I just cannot do a focus task and do the recording with a good commentary, and yeah, it wasn't good. So every once in a while I would realize that, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be talking, and so there are periods of quiet and then periods of frantic talking and trying to figure out what's going on. So anyway, it was just boring trying to come up with topics to talk about. I didn't have them set beforehand. I just had the idea of, let's take on the Ender Dragon. So here we are. Right here, I've realized that I threw all of those arrows into that chest, and that's pretty key, because I have an infinity bow. I need at least 1 arrow. But I had thrown all of them in that chest. So here we are. This is my derpy moment here. So I'm doing a little bit of derping with the dragon, trying to come up with an idea, make a little bridge. And I'm trying to figure out, should I try and take on the dragon with the sword? No. And, I'd have to go to the ender crystals and knock those out by hand. I would have taken a lot of damage just doing that. So at some point here, well, I don't know. I haven't done it yet. Yeah, so it's just not going to work out. So there we go. I just chuck all the items on the ground, and this is how I solve the issue. I'm going to go back. There we go. Respawn, grab some arrows, grab a little bit more gear, and we'll go back and try this properly. So there we go. I was doing a little bit of derping, and eventually got my head on straight. But stuff like that it makes for interesting. If you'd been watching that, you'd be like, you just threw all the arrows into that chest. What are you doing? So anyway, I figured it out pretty quickly when the bow just didn't do anything. So here we go. Standard run-of-the-mill Ender Dragon fight. My goal here was to try and keep some of the Ender crystals, and I eventually come to the conclusion, we need to sacrifice a few because she is healing. She's regenerating way too quickly. But it's run-of-the-mill. If you've done one of these, you know how it's done. You take out the Ender crystals and then just start shooting arrows at her when she swoops, and then eventually she swoops low enough you can start hitting her with a sword. And so anyway, I've got a little bit of a soundtrack to go along with the end part of this video, and we're coming up on that piece soon, so I will be wrapping this up. But yeah, so I take out some of these. I take out some of the ender crystals while she's close to them. That gives a little bit extra damage to her, and just knock out this. I did have not too many issues with the Enderman because I'm wearing the pumpkin face, but I threw out some water just in case, and yeah, there we go. So we'll see once the video goes. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'll let you just watch the whole thing. We're getting ready to come to a little music soundtrack. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's by a guy by the name of Signwriter. I've used his soundtracks, or some of his music, in previous videos, and I use it for some of the intros as well. But this is a different track than what I use for intros, but I quite enjoy it. It's just a great soundtrack. Hopefully you enjoy as well, but I'm just going to leave that to you, or leave that with you, and I'm going to head on out here, and I will rejoin you once the music is complete. So see you in a little bit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at home base, place we all know and love, and we've been getting used to. Hopefully you're used to it by now. I certainly am, because I've spent a whole lot more time on here than I have with you along for the ride. So anyway, we're back home. I am recording this actually a couple of days after the fact, so I already know the outcome, and yeah, so we're just gonna close up the episode here. I've got the dragon egg safely secreted away here in the ender chest. I have not placed it anywhere because I'm just gonna wait for a little bit, because I follow Dinnerbone on Twitter, and you can catch me on Twitter at MCSoapTheGreat, by the way. I follow him on Twitter, and he has made some noise as to using the Ender Dragon egg for some purpose other than decorative. So I don't know what that means. It usually means something devious, and I don't trust him, actually. So I'm just going to leave it in there until the further plans are made known. So anyway, what do we have left? Now, you may be thinking, okay, now that the Ender Dragon has been defeated, it's time for an Enderman farm. And you know what? The normal progression, that is the normal progression. You fight the Ender Dragon, and then you build an Enderman farm. But we're not going to be doing that because 1.8 is right around the corner. I'm recording this now on May the 8th, and Mojang have been saying that middle to end of May is going to be 1.8. I don't know. We'll see, because they have been introducing some new features in the snapshots, and they've been a little bit buggy, and they've still got some bugs to work out. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Once 1.8 comes out, there are some changing mechanics for Endermen and Endermites, and there's the possibility of building a much cheaper Enderman farm than the Behemoth design like I did in the multiplayer series. So if that does end up being the case, that's the one I want to build, because I prefer stuff that is cheaper and easier to build. And yeah, so I don't know, we'll see. The Blaze farm is sufficient. I mean, I've got this, and then that auto smelter down there is mostly full. I've been chucking cobblestone into it like crazy, and I'm not really running low. So Blaze farm's great. Get a lot of fuel from it. The zombie farm is also great. I can leave either one running, and I'm going to get tons of useful stuff out of it, especially on hard mode. I am going to be getting armor and a bunch of other stuff from the zombies. So I'll just stick with those for now, and eventually we'll get to the Enderman farm. But that is not going to be next episode. We got a little adventure planned for next episode. Hopefully you enjoy that as well. But I'm still in the process of getting all of that together. And I've got some great stuff going on the multiplayer series, so you can check that out as well. But anyway, so I had originally recorded the sign-off from the Stronghold. And you know what? We can actually go over there. I'd originally recorded it there, and then I deemed that the footage was just too stinking boring. And so I'm not going to worry about it. You know, I don't know why I can't get those guys with the sword. It has to be with the arrow. And we've got a ghast out somewhere. I'll just make a run for it. So, you know, I didn't want to subject you to the full fight because it was rather boring. So instead I did that little time lapse, and I got rid of the sign off. So I'm just going to do it here. But let me show you a little something. You know, I set up that nether portal while I was there. I grabbed my screen coordinates so that I could set this guy up. And now we've got a portal to the end, right? So there we go. That's kind of nice. Still got the setup there, and we can go back through and hopefully not look at anything. Yeah, so there we go. It's nice and easy to get to. And yeah, I didn't even think about that. I need to come in here and light this thing up. But anyway, that is going to be it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, do leave a like on it. It helps me out. It's motivating to get that. It's motivating to see that people are watching it. And especially motivating is comments and questions from you guys. So if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to drop that down below. And you can catch me on Twitter as well at MCSoapTheGreat. But I do recognize that your time is valuable and scarce, and I thank you for sharing part of it with me. And my hope is that you have enjoyed your time here. That's my goal. I want to make sure that I use your precious time wisely as well, and not take it for granted. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.